Then they have a more of an elastic type uniform with linings in it. If you notice too, when we were looking back at the mannequin, they didn't actually wear pants, they wore breeches. And those had reinforcement in the thigh area for horseback riding also. So you'll see like a quilting thing. They came down mid-calf. Their leg coverings, for the most part, they wore blanket wraps called putties that they wore all the way, cover up their shoe to their knee. When we first got there, we wore leggings, almost like the same thing as what the World War II style leggings were. But in the trenches, the mud would get up underneath the leggings and get in your shoes and stuff, and it was pretty miserable condition. Plus, they wouldn't dry out very fast if they got wet. So they adopted the British, another item of the British, which was called the putties or the wool leggings, and used those. Plus, they gave leg support. It's almost like putting elastic wrap around your leg, give you some muscle support. This area here, we've kind of got a hodgepodge of mixture of different time period stuff. A couple uniforms here from Vietnam time period, post-Vietnam. There again, now we have dress uniform, not just one type of a uniform per soldier. Those would have been worn for special occasions, ceremonies, and when you weren't on combat duty. Coming over to the central room now, we've got, we'll continue our timeline now. We have a Spanish-American War, 1898 time period. We do have an actual original uniform from that time period, and some of the weapons that were used. The Craig rifle, which was the first smokeless powder gun that the United States Army adopted. That time period, that campaign, we're still using some of the trapdoor Springfields from 1884, which were a single shot weapon, where the Craig was, you could load 5 rounds in it, so a multiple chambered gun. The uniform there, back to the World War I Civil War type, just a plain wool, unlined, heavy wool uniform, wool pants, wool tunic. You would have wore a blue cotton shirt underneath that. And then again, now we're back to the leggings, pre-World War I leggings instead of the leg wraps. This is a plaque that we have, Remember the Maine. That was basically why we entered the Spanish-American War, was the sinking of the Maine by Spain. We'll venture on back to the back corner back here. This is what little bit that we have from Vietnam War. We have very little as far as gear stuff from Vietnam. Those guys haven't turned loose their war souvenirs yet. We have a lot of uniforms, but as far as actual web gear, equipment, weapons and stuff, we don't have that. Plus, those guys weren't able to bring war trophies home such as they were from the previous wars, from World War I, World War II. We have a pup tent. Basically, the pup tent of Vietnam War was the exact same tent that they'd slept in since World War I. Each soldier would carry half of that tent in his backpack.